real business owner.
Whatever your situation is currently is not your forever situation.
That's really what real business owners is, man. Like, we don't care where you come from, where are you going?
Our goal and our job is to reduce the mistakes that you have to make or the money that you have to lose.
You want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be successful, don't give up.
You learn, adjust, and continue to move forward. Welcome back to the Real Business Owners Podcast. This is episode 112 with myself, the T Unit, and the Kilo G.
What's up?
Guys, we have one of the most amazing women that I've ever met on the show today.
True story.
True story. And she has this energy, this glow about her, this pinkness about her. And as you get to know her, you'll never see her without something a little pink, maybe a little stripe in her hair, shoes, jacket, whatever. You know when you see Jessica Stroud. And she has quite the resume. Best-selling author.
Number one best-selling author.
There it is.
What does that mean? Best-selling author? I thought that just means
That's a category. She's actually number one of the category.
So you can call if you're top 10, people still can claim best-selling author if they're in the top 10.
That's right.
Okay, number one best-selling author. I got to get this shit right. Jess ain't going to let me off the hook on anything. She never does. We can count on that. She's a business coach. She owns an insurance company. Again, overall badass. And the lady CEO, Jessica Stroud herself. We appreciate you flying out to visit a couple yahoos in St. George, Utah.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well,
we're lucky to have you.
Yeah, we are.
She's not just all those things. She's our friend. We've gotten to know her over the last couple of years, and she is one of our favorite people to be around. So I was just telling her right before we started the show, I'm like, I'm glad it's you today because she's brightening my day on a day that I needed it. So.
Yeah.
It's the pink. That's what it is. All the brightness.
Don't discredit it.
That's true.
Own that shit and say, yeah, it's me. I make the pink that much brighter.
I bring the sunshine.
The pink is bright, but you brighten even the pink up a little bit. The pink don't brighten you up. So let's not get
I got her book right here in case the camera wants to see it.
I know. I walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, you have one of my books.
I'm honored. I was there when you took this photo down in Cabo.
I was there. Yep.
I
was absolutely.
I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Hey, are you going to Cabo next trip?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So there's a big fundraiser in Kansas City for breast cancer, and I'm getting like a whole table and taking a group of ladies, putting on the heels, putting on the sparkle dresses, and going out. We missed galas, so
can't miss that.
So let's get this the hardest hitting question over with right off the bat.
Okay.
So we can just have fun with it after that. Okay.
Yes. Go for Jessica.
What's up with the pink? Why is it pink, and when did the pinkness come about?
That's an excellent question. So growing up, I wasn't really girly, right? Okay. So
you're tomboyish, maybe a little bit. Were you into sports?
Yep. I think at some points I wanted to be into sports, but the way I grew up didn't facilitate
those activities.
Being able to participate in that and the
finances issue or something because it costs money to participate. Did you grow up a little on the poorer side or?
Yeah, we were very poor, and just.
I wonder why we all get along so much.
Both parents were, and I touched on it a little bit in the book, but didn't necessarily want it to be a big, sad sob story. But both parents were broken in their own way. So
aren't we all a little bit though?
Yeah, when
to a certain extent.
When you don't have joy in your heart, you can't give others joy. And so let's just say it was a joyless upbringing. So there wasn't money for shoes. There wasn't there wouldn't have been money for
if
sports.
It wasn't absolute survival, then it wasn't needed.
Correct. Yeah,
so it was just like food, water, shelter, a little bit of clothes, but rewear them over and over and over.
That's needed, exactly right. Yeah. So funny you say food, water, and shelter because we did have that, but we didn't always have electricity. Yeah. But we have water. I
never said anything about electricity. My electricity got shut off here and there too. So you really don't need it.
You do not.
I have remember nights where they're like lighting candles around the house just for light.
I bet you got a junk drawer full of freaking flashlights and candles, dude.
I think everybody does. Doesn't
no,
everybody?
Dude, it's us people that had our power shut off and shit when we were kids, bro.
Those little teeny ones with the tin on the bottom, just all over the place.
Dude, we had to do that too sometimes.
But if you have water, you're clean. You can brush your teeth, but electricity is not a necessity. So we didn't.
So a duller upbringing, a joyless upbringing, and so you've decided as you've been able to grow up and make your own decisions and create your own life to just be a shining light, because whether you know it or not, you're more that than I think that you even realize in terms of the energy that you bring and the light that you bring into a room. And so I just, again, it's hard for me to see coming from that to being who you are today. And I'm interested to try to understand the transition of, how you became who you are today versus this child that had a joyless or dull upbringing to being lady CEO, bright, energetic, because those seem like two totally different ends of the spectrum.
Growing up, there wasn't a lot of joy or happiness, right? So both of my parents were very unhappy in their lives, divorced young, sent us back and forth. I do touch on that a little bit in the book just to kind of set the stage. But at some point, I believe that happiness is a choice. And I'll be 43 in August, and I don't know when I made the decision, but at some point, I just made the decision, I will be a happy person. I will be a happy person. There are things that happen to us as we're growing up that we can't do anything about, right? And when I started to write the book, it was, how do I tell these stories, and pull the lessons out from them, right? Because I always want to be an example for others. Hey, if Jess can do it, I can do it.
So pulling out the positive in a negative scenario, so it doesn't seem like just negative sob story.
Exactly, because that's not me. That's not how I was going to come out. And so it was an adventure to say, these are the things that happened to me. Okay, well, I can't do anything about that. Okay, you're going to sit around and suck your thumb and just complain about all that? You can't do anything about it, all right? But then, of course, right around, 17, 18, 19, you start screwing up on your own, right? And so,
mine was 13. I think Kel's was pretty similar. So you were a late bloomer.
Oh, thanks.
On all your fuck-ups,
But before that, you can say, oh, my parents messed me up, right? But then at some point, it's like, yeah, you messed that up. And one of the funny things that I've actually enjoyed about writing the book was I was like, oh, my God, you were such a dumbass, right? I was like, laughing at myself.
And I think everybody can relate to that. We all go through our dumbass phases in life, and we learn a lot from it, probably, right?
Well, not everybody gets out of it, though.
No,
that's the thing you understand.
That's true.
We were around it a lot.
I know.
We're around it a lot. We're around people in our groups and stuff that we're a part of that are like, we made a choice at some point to be like, this isn't what I want for my life.
Right.
But more people are like, I'm an alcoholic because that's what I was growing up. My dad was he was an alcoholic.
Just accept the way they grew up as reality forever.
Their environment's programmed into them so deep and they don't think that they're strong enough to make a different choice. And so most people, I feel like, never really get to that point. But we're like this cool 10% or something out there.
Well, most people will spend more time planning a vacation or a wedding. It kills me. More time planning a wedding or a vacation than they will planning their lives. Planning the next year of their life.
That's so true. I've never thought about it like that.
Planning they live by default.
Yeah, you're planning a weak moment of 80 years of life and taking that far more serious than making sure that eventually your whole life could potentially be a vacation if you actually were intentional about planning out your life and creating goals for yourself. So again, you never answered the pink question. When did it come into play? Because you rock it like nobody else's business.
I'm trying to stall because
You don't remember?
I don't. So I've always liked pink. I've not always had a lot of pink things. I guess it was somewhere, here's what it is. As we get older, we start to become comfortable with who we truly are. We start to lean into who we are.
Without fear of others.
That's exactly right.
Without fear of judgment.
I'm just me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And so it's probably been within the last 6 or 7 years when I started to become more comfortable with who I am. Well, so what happened is that translated to, well, now social media is very popular, right? And when I was first starting to grow our insurance company, I knew that social media was going to be powerful. And as I became comfortable with who I was and how I came across to other people, I really started leaning into it, and the pink just became a thing. So it's only been within the last maybe year and a half that I've started having, I've been owning it for a little bit, but that I started actually doing the pink highlights in my hair. So I don't, if for those who haven't seen a picture of me, I don't have full dyed pink hair. I have a lighter color hair, and then I have pink done as highlights. And I am surprised at how many people comment on it. They see me with these pink streaks in my hair. They see me with my pink fingernails. They see me with these fun pink flip-flops. Exactly,
jackets,
this bright pink jacket. Yeah. And it's almost like, because it makes me happy, I exude this energy that gives others permission to be happy. Like, so I like that. So I'm a runner, and it was January 1st, because it was the New Year's Day run, January 1st, 2020. Yep, we were still running then. I have to think, it's a lifetime ago. And I was, it really does. Like it. So I was at this community center. So we were all inside because it's cold in Kansas in January. It's cold, people. So we were inside, just kind of keeping warm or whatever. And I go into the women's bathroom, and there's this little girl who's standing in the corner. She's staring at me like she's really eyeballing me. And I hadn't pulled my hair back yet for the run, whatever. And, I'm not that person trying to be a creeper talking to other people's kids in the bathroom, right? Just not going to be, not going to go there.
You can't do that anymore. You can't even say hi to a damn child in the bathroom.
Looking at you.
Yeah, don't make eye contact. Everyone thinks everyone else is a creeper. And our last episode was about child trafficking with a lady that's fighting that. Yeah. So. Yeah, we can't talk to kids in bathrooms anymore. But what did you say to her?
PSA, don't talk to kids in bathrooms.
What did you say to this one?
I didn't look at her. I mean, I kind of looked at her, but not in a creeper way. And then I go into the stall, and then I come out, and her mom comes out, and she's with her mom, and they're getting ready to walk out, and she turns around and says to me, "I like your pink hair," and then darts out. And I wanted to say to her, well, guess what? When you're in your 40s, girl, you can have whatever kind of hair you want. But again, it's not just young people, but at some point about 6-7 years ago, I think I just realized the pink makes me happy. Anything that we can do that makes us happy and that feeds our soul, whether we realize it or not, we're exuding this energy that is feeding other people's soul. Like you said, I'm a light, and that means a lot to me. Because I do, right? When people read my book and they're like, dang, your parents really screwed you up. Well, they tried, right?
They did a good job, but she recovered.
Well, the whole premise is...
she rose from the ashes like a phoenix.
The whole premise is I can't change that. And even if I could, would I? Because every single piece of that has led me right here to where I am. And I will tell you, I would not change anything about my life. Yeah,
it's led you to the number one business podcast in the world.
Absolutely.
And it's not quite there yet, but you have to.
We'll get there.
Yeah, you have to speak it into existence, right?
It's on its way.
Right.
It's top 1% in the world, but not top 1.
Yeah.
Like your bestseller.
But I'm here now, so that's going to push over the
edge. But for sure be top 1 when this sucker airs. With all the light and pink and
can you
wonderful
change your
energy.
logo to something pink? That'd be awesome. If you could just change your whole thumbnail.
We'll create a pink one just for you.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's talk about insurance a little bit.
Why?
Guys. Yeah, exactly. So here's the deal. Insurance is a boring industry. Accounting is a very boring industry. There's certain industries that aren't the sexiest, aren't the funnest or the coolest. And it's hard to market an industry that really isn't, like if we owned a supplement company, it would be easy to get some big dudes and some hot babes and say, hey, stand in front of our product or, something sexy, fun, cool, whatever. But we don't necessarily have that, right?
Right.
We have somewhat of a boring business, a business that really isn't an everyday conversation that people want to have. They don't want to go just talk about their accounting with their friends and family for fun
money.
over drinks or insurance over drinks. They're talking about something different, right? And so what do you feel like that you've done to be different, to kind of stand out in such a boring or dry industry, so to speak?
There's only one thing more boring than insurance.
Accounting.
I would say they're sixes. I would say they're both at the bottom. We're right next to each other, just like we are here at this table.
Right. Well, people don't want to do that. So they don't want to talk about money. They don't want to talk about what they have to have. Oh, here, this is a product that you need because if your house burns down or if your kid wrecks the car or something.
Yeah, all those are scenarios that happens to somebody else.
That's right.
That doesn't happen to me.
I don't want to do that. So when and everyone knows an insurance agent and everyone knows an accountant and everyone knows a realtor and everyone knows a mortgage company. Yeah. Everyone knows everybody that does everything. And so when I decided I was going to step into the insurance world about 6 years ago, I knew I had to stand out. Right? Everybody's talking about, well, my product is this or my product is that. Listen, I own an independent insurance brokerage, right? We have 14, 15 different carriers. Nobody wants to hear me say, oh, well, I've got the best rates. Well, you don't always have the best rates, right? Yeah. Oh, I've got the best service. Well, I've got a great team, but is it the best all the time? Maybe not. So what are you going to stand on? How are you going to set yourself apart?
With that said, just so that you guys know, every business, even if she feels like she has the best team, we're all human. Mm-hmm. There's human error.
Right.
And that's one thing that I want to touch on real quick because, look, we're not perfect. In terms of
yes, you are.
Me and Jess aren't perfect. Kel is, but we still have issues in our accounting firm or our credit repair. It's very minimal.
Yes,
and the only thing that you can do is the best that you can do in that moment. There's times where there is human error. People drop the ball. It's part of business. It is what it is. You learn from that. Try to pick up and plug that hole so that mistake doesn't happen again. And so, we've even had people that have hit us up for credit repair and their scores didn't jump up fucking 1,000 points that listened to us on the podcast, and all of a sudden we're bad guys.
Yep.
You guys act like you did it, and it's like, you know what? Fuck you. We literally, we flat out say, here's our warranty of service. If we do not hit that, then this is exactly what happens. And we honored exactly what we said that we were going to do.
And if we drop the ball, we own it.
Yeah,
if we have dropped the ball and we own it.
And that's the same for any business, any business owner. So one, if you're listening to this and you're an entrepreneur, don't expect there never to be problems or issues in your business or with your people.
There's never perfection.
There is no such thing as perfection, right?
Except Jessica.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Jess, she sets the bar very high.
Well, one of my favorite things is when something happens with one of the companies that we can't even control.
Yeah,
it's like I'm sorry you didn't pay your bill. I know.
The funny, the funny thing, even with credit repair, we send in some of the same shit, and sometimes it knocks everything off of this one, and then this one not so much, right?
I'm sorry you're in credit repair and you didn't make your payment. I'm sorry.
You get it.
Exactly. So
carry on.
But coming into this incredibly boring. So when something that not a lot of people know that I've started being way more open about it now is when I first jumped into insurance, I had a full-time job. So for those of you who...
What were you doing?
Oh, I had a pharmaceutical sales job. That was good too. Like this personality, you see this personality here walking into a boring doctor's office, and food is my love language to begin with. So for me to be able to bring in samples, like I'm bringing gifts, right, and to bring lunch to all these doctors' offices and have interesting conversations talking about medical stuff, that was a great job for me. I loved it. And so I went to my husband one day and I said, good news, honey. I want to work in the insurance business. And he's like, that's a problem. I'm like, what? Well, that's a problem because you have a company car, you have a salary, you get quarterly bonuses, you like nice cars. So if you leave, I have to buy you a nice car. Oh, and we have those things called medical benefits through your company. So for those of you who, one of the things I'm most known for, let's just get this out here, is in my tight little circle, you guys like to refer to me as the referral queen. So over the last 5 years, I have personally generated over 3,000 referrals for my business. So I am still averaging over 500 referrals a year. So I want everyone to know, though, that when I first started, the first year that I started, I had another job. For those of you who have a business, have a side hustle, and you feel ashamed or you want to hide because you have this other job. So Shoe Dog, for anyone who has not read Shoe Dog, it's a Phil Knight story about Nike. Oh, it's fabulous. He actually had to leave Nike twice. He was an accountant. You guys know that? He actually had to leave. It's an incredible book. So he had to leave Nike twice to go get a full-time job just to keep his business going. So for those of you who are out there, if you ever have to go get a job to keep your business going, you wear that with pride. You do not, that is a badge of honor. You're doing what you have to do, and I want you to be proud of it,
Or on the flip side of that, if you're working plus you're working a business, you're doing two different things.
That's right.
So let's say, for instance, you're just an employee and you have aspirations to become an entrepreneur one day. Go get a second job to save enough money so that second job ends up being replaced by a side hustle eventually. Right? So you're listening to stories of people running Nike and doing a job on the side just to keep the lights on. What's the difference of just working two jobs in order to get ahead financially?
That's right.
The reason why they were doing two different things is because they wanted to get ahead. The reason why you were doing two different things at one point is because you were trying to get ahead.
Right.
So why can't an individual that's employed do two different things to try to get ahead, then turn the second job into a side hustle, and hopefully that side hustle replaces the main hustle of your job, right? And then at that point, you're an entrepreneur and you're running businesses. Now, the coolest story I heard about entrepreneurs or businesses is that FedEx story. Have you guys heard the FedEx story?
Tell me the FedEx one. Tell me that one.
The owner of FedEx wasn't going to be able to make payroll. He was done. He had like $5,000 or something left. That was it to the entire company's name. He went to Vegas and gambled it. He turned $5,000 into like $35,000 and saved the company. And now it's a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
He figured that he has $5,000. That's not enough to save his company. He was going to go under if that's all he had.
He's going under either way, right?
So he figured, I'm going to go gamble and try to win more money, because if I lose it, I'm going under. If I only have this, I'm going under. How can I turn $5,000 into more money? He went and gambled and made more money.
For the listeners, that's not financial advice.
Yeah, don't.
No, it's not financial. It's not financial advice, but it's fun advice.
Hey,
I mean,
you know what?
It'd be a hell of an adrenaline rush.
There's not a business alive to kick an ass that didn't have to take some
risk.
That's an extreme risk, right?
This is exactly what Jess did, right? She took a risk in terms of taking something that was super stable already, being a sales representative with benefits, with bonuses, with all these great things that a car that was given to her to go pursue business. It's a little nutty, but you did it.
So what I was not willing to do. So I've been married for 17 years. We just 17 years, and we have two sons. They are 11 and 12. My marriage is the most important thing to me. Wife and mom are just the most important thing to me. So
I should have made that on the list on your resume when you were coming in. My bad.
Best wife ever. Yeah. I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says that. So
a pink one at that, people. A pink one.
We're gonna make her one.
Yeah.
So I'm the crazy one in the relationship, just not even going to try to hide that. My husband is the real hero, because putting up with this, as fun as I am, it's a little difficult. You guys know. It's a little
I can only handle you for one or 2 days a month. No,
that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
Texas.
It's hard for,
I'm just
our spouses are the real heroes.
I know. I'm just kidding.
So I went to my husband, dropped this bomb on him, and he's like, So of course he gets nervous, right? Because that's what my husband does. Anytime I get this little wild hair, he gets nervous. But he's been on the roller coaster with me before, and actually, he has turned it on me recently, which is very interesting. So I went. So long story short is, I was not willing to put my family in financial risk just because I had a dream. I wasn't going to do it. I was not going to do it.
So you're willing to make a sacrifice in order to do
exactly
it and try
right.
to do multiple things.
So for the first year, I basically worked 2 jobs. Mm-hmm. So here's the lesson I would love for everyone to pull from this is that first year, I knew nothing about insurance. Like I knew I had car insurance. Sure, this house we live in has insurance. Great.
Somebody
that's
sends you
awesome.
money when something bad happens.
Yeah,
cool.
husband, greatest husband ever, takes care of all that. No big deal. I knew nothing about the product. I knew nothing about the systems. I just knew I needed to concentrate on lead generation because I didn't have a budget.
The lifeblood,
I had no money, had no budget, right? Yes, okay, I'm going to sell insurance. But if nobody knows I'm selling insurance, so I actually completely reinvented myself on social media. I took off anything that had anything to do with pharmaceutical sales, and I leaned in and I made myself the go-to for insurance in my community, right? I went deep in certain areas where I knew there was a high probability that I could get referrals. Mm-hmm. Here's how it ended. At the end of the year, having worked, I stopped in September. Yeah, I got shingles, and it was a
on your roof.
Call. You got some shingles on my roof.
I've had shingles. It's
you
miserable.
have?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
I was
terrible.
Only 17 too. The doctor was like, I've never seen shingles on a kid your age, but it was miserable.
It's terrible. And so the doctor said, and I know you do, the clay tiles. Yeah. So the doctor said, I said, shingles are for old people. And she said, or people who have compromised immune systems. What are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm working 2 jobs. In the morning, I was a pharmaceutical salesperson. And then I would do lunch. And then in the afternoon, I would switch over into insurance mode and handle all my insurance stuff in the afternoon. Literally working 2 jobs. But what happened is I left my pharmaceutical sales job in September. I was going to get fired. I'm be real. I was going to get fired anyway because I was not the shining example that I had been for the first couple of years.
So you started dipping off and your attention was starting to lean more into your thing rather than the old thing.
Yeah, that's a caution. You were only
able to hang on for so long before
but it got me there.
Pulled you. Yeah,
so
exactly.
At the end of that year, I finished with over 300 referrals.
Nice.
And then the next year, I really, really leaned in, and I ended the year with over 600 referrals. Now, there's no need to go into it necessarily. You guys are business owners. You understand. When your business doubles in 12 months, like there's some things you gotta, shines a light.
So what she's trying to say is you're going to deal with a lot of shit, a lot of headaches, a lot of stress. It's going to expose every issue that you have inside your business.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's what happened. So that was probably a wonderful, fun year for you.
It was incredible. Okay, if you are a business owner and you haven't at least one time stopped, looked up, and went, shit, I have built a prison around myself brick by brick. Are you even really trying? Like, are you even really going all out? If your business doesn't feel like a prison, you're not really trying hard enough.
That's why I say, if you're working out and you don't get injured, are you even trying?
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're
how do you even know what your ability is if you don't throw a back out or something?
Every once in a while, gets a part of life. But we had to figure it out. But the one thing about my personality is I can't be that person. So in insurance, you're taught to be everything to everyone. I don't fit in insurance, right? B, I couldn't be this person that was everything to everyone. So niching was a big part of what I did to create so many referrals. And then C, I refused to be that person. Oh, hi. Hey, Trev. Remember me? We met last week at the BNI. Can I quote your insurance? Hey, Trev, I know you own a business. Will you send me referrals? Like, I refused to be that person. Right. I couldn't do it.
Put you on block.
As you should.
Like,
and I think, there's this thing rolling around like, oh, you have to ask for what you want. You have to ask for what you want. you know what, I get that, but I generated the referrals without asking because so many times, you tell business owners, oh, catch up with your past clients, right? Well, let's take a look at what that looks like. Hey, Kale, so nice to see you. How's the wife? How's the kids? How's the da-da-da-da-da?
Fantastic.
Okay, great. Yeah. And then 15 minutes in, you're having a great conversation, and then you as the business owner say, oh, and don't forget, if you ever know anyone that needs accounting services, what do you think that just did to the conversation? Yeah. It just killed it, right?
Devalued it, yeah.
It absolutely devalued it. Absolutely devalued it.
It made it feel like the whole thing prior was
exactly right.
disingenuous.
Just to tee up, right. Just setting me up for the.
That's right, and people can tell
people love to buy, they hate to be sold, right? And that just feels like, oh, you're trying to sell me? I thought you actually liked me.
Yep. So
but you really cared how my family was doing.
It kills me. So people say, oh, I can't. The only way for me to get referrals is if I ask for them. Okay, well, if that's where you're at, let me know. Let me know how that's working for you.
So how do you do it?
That's a good question. At first, I didn't think I
feel like you attract people to you, right?
Yeah. So I feel like when we say attraction marketing or whatever, it feels. I'm just gonna be real. It feels a little cheesy to me. Can't do it. Feels a little cheesy to me.
But it is what you got to call a fucking spade a spade.
I know. So at first,
if it's fucking cheesy, it's cheesy, but it still can be true.
Word.
At
Sometimes
first, I
harsh truths are still truths. Cheesy truths are still a truth.
That's right. That's true. Attraction marketing. I'm just everybody's friend. No. Okay. Well, kind of. So look, you got me all flustered now. Okay.
We were talking about cheesy shit. Go back to the cheesy. The queso.
At first, I thought it was just me being me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just me being me. But after the first year of over 300 referrals, the second year over 600 referrals, the second year was powerful for me because I sat down and I was like, going into the third year, it was, Ryan Stewman was the one that said to me, whether you think you do or not, you have a system. I know you just think it's you doing you, but you have a system and you need to start teaching it to other people. And I was like, that caused me to look at it differently. Yeah. So funny enough, in year 4, it was like 480 referrals because I went back to I actually graded all of my referral partners. And as terrible as this is, I had the privilege of going to several referral partners and saying, I just don't think we're a good fit. So for someone who owns a business to be able to have a conversation with someone and say, I just don't think we're a good fit to work together, that's a powerful place to be. Right. But I did have a system, right? I did have a system of a specific way that I do social media. Right, and now it's my system I call the Referrals Without Asking system, and I have the Referrals Without Asking Academy. Of course, the logo's pink, all right? I threw some blue in there for the boys.
What's the website? Referralswithoutasking.com?
Referralswithout.asking.academy.com, yes.
Referrals Without Asking Academy.
You can just hit me up
.work?
on
Is that what you said?
.com.
You know I got to give you shit. You always give me shit. It's .com, people.
Referrals. Oh, just to make it easier, I got the referralswithoutaskingacademy.com and referralswithoutaskingacademy.com.
Good names are out there.
Just follow me on the socials. You're going to hear about it. You're going to see me talk about it. Or
What's
just hit
your
me
socials? I think we need to follow you.
Okay, you should on Insta. Okay, so I got Facebook figured out, just FYI, but I'm so inspired by you guys with Instagram because I don't have that figured out yet. But again, as much as I know, I'm still always a student.
We're still figuring out Facebook too.
Everybody's always evolving, right? It's never ending.
The referrals that I got though, all started with things I did on Facebook. But anyway, I'm Jessica Stroud, Lady CEO on Instagram, so you should absolutely follow me. At Jessica Stroud _ Lady CEO.
We'll put that in the.
Was just Lady CEO taken?
I think so. Maybe. Dang it! I don't know.
You had to get that one too.
You got to double check that shit. Yeah. Get it.
Isn't it crazy though? Like, you get into these industries and everyone's just kind of programmed to do the norm,
right?
And then some outlier comes along and they're like. They are just being them at first, but then they figure out, just like you, like, oh, there's a system to this, man. Like, I'm going to be unique and different. It's going to attract more people to me. And it's pretty cool because I feel like it's kind of what you did.
The one thing that people don't like to talk about is when you are your authentic self and you shine your light, you will be too bright for some people. So there were some people in my market that, competitors, of course, right? Again, I don't have any competition. If we're going to work together, great. If not, no big deal. There's enough business for everybody. Yeah. Seriously, there's enough business for everybody. So one of the people that was unhappy about my success went to one of my referral partners, right? Because everybody knows an insurance agent. And it was like, why do you even work with her? Why do you send her business? And my friend said, because she never asks, right? It's like, she doesn't ask me for the business. It's not all about the business.
Yeah.
Right. It's not all about the business. Like the people that I work with, it means something to me. They're my friends. I know their spouses. I know their kids. I know their dreams, right? I'm asking them, hey, how are you doing on your goals? I make it more about them than me. But it does start on social media. Everything that I do starts on social media. Yeah. And it drives me crazy. If you are one of those people that all you do is talk about business on social media, you need to stop. Yeah. Slide into my DMs and I will give you the slap up against the head that you need, because people want to do business with interesting people. Mm-hmm. The biggest gift I gave myself was about 5 years ago. I said, I'm going to be more interesting. I made the choice that I am going to be more interesting, and it changed everything for me.
What were the steps to that?
So how do you become more interesting? What are the steps to, because...
I got a course on that. No, I'm joking. I don't.
If you go to Jessica Stroud, getmoreinteresting.academy.com.
Wait a minute, let me write that down. No, stop it.
So, I can't give up too much because it's in my course.
Go and buy it. So I found myself in a situation, okay, you do self-reflection, right? I'll do some self-reflection. All right, here I am, middle-aged, because I think I must have been around 37, 38 at the time.
That's middle-aged.
God willing, it's middle-aged. I'd love to live until I'm 80, right? Hopefully. Great, middle-aged. Yes, Trev, middle-aged, babe.
37 next month. Does that
I
mean
know
I'm
you
middle-aged
do.
now?
You will. I hope so. I hope you are. Because if so, that means you'll live to be almost at least 80 years old. So yeah. Can I go? Are you all right? Are you done?
Finish your thought while I soak over here that I'm now middle-aged. I'm going to be searching convertible Corvettes.
It's time to get that Bentley, bro.
Yeah. Stop. Oh, exactly. Stop. The husband wants a new Corvette. Stop it. We've never owned one.
Yeah.
He
Send
wants
it.
Oh, stop
He trusted your ass to go from selling to damn insurance. Give him a whip.
No, he cashed that in with this whole new house thing that we're building. We sold our house after 16 years. We were going to remodel, and he came to me, and he's like, I want a new house. I think we should build a new house. I'm like, nope, not doing it. Yeah. So he kind of comes in through the back way and says, well, what would Brian Suman say about us dropping a whole bunch of money into this house? And I'm like, oh, shit, he's getting serious. So I'm like, if he's invoking the name, he's getting serious. I'm like, no. Then we went to Cabo, right, for our mastermind. And I come home, and he had started looking at stuff while I was gone. It's gone for 3 days. So then he says to me, I'm like, no, I don't want to move. Well, partially it's because of my own insecurities. We never owned homes growing up. We moved around so much, and this
just is a staple in your life for so long. It's tough.
So we'd been in our house for 16 years, and he said, listen, I believe in all of your crazy ideas. And I'm like, boom, sold. Like that was the home run. If that was so anyway. So he probably will get a Corvette. Probably.
So that's a little nugget for anybody listening. So if you want to be able to have ammunition to throw against your significant other later, you need to support everything that they're doing now.
That's right. Cool. That's right. If you want support in your dreams, you better support them in their dreams. That's
Next
right.
Lesson.
It's true.
You did a lesson within a lesson.
There we go. Lots of nuggets here.
Inception.
So I looked at myself and I'm like, cover your ears, Trev. Middle-aged. I live in Kansas City, which is basically the middle of the United States. Not a lot of interesting stuff happening in Kansas City. So been married for 12 years. I'm looking at myself like a statistic, right? Been married 12 years, got 2 sons, got 2 boy dogs, got this, got that. Boring.
Do you sell life insurance too? That's what life insurance people do.
No.
Look at all that.
I mean, I can, but no, I don't do that. So listen, I'm not real good at follow-up, and within life insurance, got to do a lot of follow-up. So I had to look at myself and go, shit, I'm boring. So I knew that if I was going to generate massive amounts of referrals, that I had to be an interesting person because people want to do business with interesting people.
Absolutely.
Let's put that on a board and take a picture with it, right?
Yeah.
I want to do business with interesting people, and I wanted to be interesting. So I started paying attention to, I've got 2 litmus tests, right? If I see somebody do something or buy something or have something, and I'm super happy for them, but because when people are going out doing big things, I applaud for them, right?
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
their happiness makes me happy. But if there's a little tinge of some kind of envy inside, I'm like, oh shit, it's going on the goal board. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
If I love it and it makes you so happy, it makes me happy, but I'm like, I really like to have that in my life. That's how I know what it is.
Nice.
So I just started leaning into, and my kids were totally on board, right? I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm like, hey, I saw this person talk about this restaurant online, and we need to go, and we're going to go as a family, and we're going to take a picture because I need stuff to talk about on social media because I'm boring, and I need more stuff to talk about on social media. Yeah. My kids are like, got you, Mom, let's go, right? And my husband's like, all right, new restaurants, let's go. So we started going to different parks on different trips and I, as the mother and the wife, started cultivating in our household this energy of adventure. So then guess what? The kids are seeing different things. Listen, my kids are attached to I had somebody say to me once, your kids have great vocabularies. I'm like, that's because they spend hours on YouTube. Got nothing to do with me, right?
Yeah, YouTube University.
Right, and so the kids are coming to me with, hey, Mom, I heard about this or this. The one we're looking at now is there's a $250 grilled cheese sandwich in New York City. Yeah. Hello, I'm all about going to New York City and eating a $250 grilled cheese sandwich. That's incredible, right? And then so my husband too, he's like, a couple of years ago, he's like, all right, so I found this deal and I'm all about pulling my kids out of school to go on adventures too. And so we drove to Oklahoma City on a Friday. We went to an NBA game on Friday night. Never been. Kids never been. It was amazing. And then we drove into Dallas. And then on Sunday, we saw the Kansas City Chiefs play against the Dallas Cowboys. And then the next day we drove home. That was our weekend, NBA and NFL in one weekend. That was crazy.
That's
but
awesome.
When I decided I was going to be more interesting, for the superficial fact of I need more stuff to talk about on social media, right?
Yeah.
I need
you need an adventurous life.
Some people to look at, right? And so I became a better wife because my husband understands, Jess goes out on her crazy adventures and I get invited to do fun things with other people. And so I have more things to talk about with my husband. Unfortunately, sometimes when you own a business together, you got kids together, that's all you talk about. Mm-hmm. We have all kinds of things to talk about. He's reading different things like, hey, I read about this, let's go on this adventure, let's do that. We have some amazing memories. My kids have, I'm a better mom because my sons, do I miss a basketball game every once in a while? Absolutely. But you know what? That's life. Yeah. I'm there for most of them and I'm okay with that. But what my kids see is my mom comes up with the wackiest stuff and she goes and does it. And she comes back and when she falls flat on her face, she tells us about it, we laugh about it, and we just keep going. Like you want to talk about a success story, that's great. But some of the best things are, didn't exactly turn out how I thought it would, right?
It's those curveballs that make life interesting,
so
not everything that's predictable.
So our kids see us failing. I've become so comfortable with failing that other people see me doing it, and I'm very open about it, right? I wrote a whole book about basically the top 10 failures of my life and what I learned from them. And people see us failing and us talking about them and laughing about it. Oh, that didn't turn out the way it was supposed to. And it gives other people permission to do it. I have people that'll reach out to me. Hey, I saw you took your kids here and did that. I took my kids and we had a great time. Hey, I saw you and your husband went there and did that. It made me a better friend, a better business owner. But it boosted my self-confidence like nothing else. Yeah. Like for every incredible thing, for every idea that is executed and turns out amazing, I've got 4 or 5 crazy ones that didn't even make it to the drawing board or they failed.
You got to go the process of elimination. There's a lot to eliminate before you start figuring shit out. Right?
But everybody's so worried about being polished, and I think I'm very unpolished on social media. Yeah. Now, I don't on purpose. I'm not all into the no makeup selfie, right? But some of the biggest replies, or I'll do a video or something. I come home from running in the 100-degree Kansas heat, or the Utah heat. If you saw my stories this morning, it was so hot out there. No
hot.
makeup, hair's pulled back. It doesn't matter. Torn t-shirt, because I like to cut up all my t-shirts. And people see that, and they want to be around you, and they think about you. So as I started leaning into more interesting things, one of the biggest ways that I started to get more referrals was people didn't just think about me for insurance. People see something that's pink and they think about me.
Yeah. They just want you in their life.
People see, and that's not creepy. In the beginning, it kind of feels a little creepy. It's not. Don't worry, I promise. But people think about something to do with running, and they think about me because I talk about it. People, I know that you took your family on a Disney cruise, 2 years ago. I remember your stories, and
Yeah.
And it's just like 2 weeks ago, I took my son and my niece to Dallas to go to Six Flags to ride the roller coasters. And then while we're there, we went to the water park. And my niece had never been on an airplane before. She's 11 and she had never been on an airplane before. And so because we live this life.
Adventurous.
That's right. Yeah. Other people get to come with us. And guess what? People invite me to go on cool adventures too.
Because
that's exactly
seem
right.
adventurous.
Yes.
That's right.
So people just by default want to be around you more, want to get to know you more. And you're top of mind more than other people in your industry.
For the boring insurance agents.
For the boring insurance
like you guys, look at you. You don't fit in accounting.
All right.
You travel around. You connect with other people who are interesting. You go on amazing adventures. You do a great job of talking about your families. You don't just talk about accounting. You talk about a lifestyle.
We actually rarely talk about accounting, especially on the podcast anyways, right?
Yeah. So you guys, I'm sorry, you guys own an accounting company? Like, could you tell me more about that?
Yeah, the best one in the fucking nation.
That's right.
So
absolutely.
You've probably heard of it.
What's it called?
Easier Accounting.
Where do I find it?
Everywhere.
It's trademarked.
What have you been living in a hole somewhere? Everybody who knows anything about anything knows Easier Accounting.
That's exactly right.
Well, I will say though, we're in the referral game too.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, we can market and advertise, and we can do the podcast, and we can do all this stuff, but our referral partners bring in a massive amount of our business. And so
they bring in a different type of business.
Yeah, and you literally just gave everybody the playbook, if you're in the referral game, on how you can actually...
I refer you. You have never asked me, and I refer you. I referred several of my biggest referral partners. I said, hey, how's, because I have the courage to ask my friends, how's your accounting, right? You got your whatever. We talk about money. My friends and I talk about money. I was like, hey, I need to hook you up with my accounting guys because I need you to do this. And then my personal clients that I coach, I asked them, how's your money situation? Like, we got to get you squared away. I'm going to hook you up with my guys, accounting guys, right? Yeah. Trevor and Kale, let's go.
You made a couple of direct referrals to me, and I appreciate it.
I didn't make them to you. I made them to Trevor.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I haven't seen one, so Kale's getting all the credit for that one. Oh, you try to rotate them? What, fucking 100 to 0?
No.
That's not a rotation.
I'm so sorry. You will absolutely get the next 5.
The pendulum could swing over here every once in a while in the DM. Jeez. You always slide in the DM with hard eyes saying you look good today, and I'm like... Give me a damn referral already.
I'm not just your eye candy, Jess.
Yeah, like, come on. I'm more than a piece of meat over here, okay? Let me ask you a question. This is kind of a serious question.
Oh. Ooh, here we go.
Yeah. What's the worst thing that ever happened to you and then, with hindsight, ended up being a blessing?
Oh, boy.
Because I think a lot of people need to stop looking at a negative scenario as it just being negative. I think that you need to wipe your mind clean and have an open mind and seek out the positive in that scenario, because there's always one. There's always something there that situation can teach you that will make you better. And so you're going to prove my point. So
I have 2 terrible things that have happened to me in my life.
Yeah, we usually have a lot more than one.
Yeah.
But
one led to the
really
other.
Memorable one.
So when I was 16,
you got a driver's license?
Nope, I wasn't one of those kids that got a driver's license because we didn't have anything. Why get a driver's license if you don't have anything?
You have nothing to drive?
Yeah.
Schuber
So my dad was a very manipulative person, but for whatever reason, he always treated me a little differently than he treated the other women in his life. Right.
In a good way or bad way?
In a good way. So there was
a little bit more lenient towards you or graceful with you.
He spoke to me differently. Okay. Yeah. And so it was this whole adolescent confusion in my mind where he's telling me, Jess, you can be anything when you grow up. And he even actually gave me a copy of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. But my reality is he's mentally abusing his wives, and he can't keep a job, and we don't have electricity, and there's no money for school clothes, and the shoes that I have don't fit me. Right? So that's the existence I'm living. But the words are not matching, right? So that was a very confusing time for me. And right early 16 years old, what happened was we found ourselves, my dad and I were living in just a teeny tiny apartment. It was literally a 1-bedroom apartment, right? We have bunk beds, right? We made it work. And it was just me and my dad. My brother, who's a little bit older, had already left. And my dad and his wife had split up. Thank goodness, like applause to her for having the courage to leave the manipulative situation. My dad decided that life wasn't worth living anymore. But what I heard and felt in that situation was, Jess, you're not worth living for. Right. Because it was just me and him, right?
Well, you only look inward and you're like, what? It feels like they left you.
Yeah.
You know, but yet you're not trying to view it from their perspective and maybe the pain that they were dealing with or some of the things that they were going through.
Yeah.
And so what lesson did that give you? Because obviously you went through probably a dark time where you asked yourself a lot of questions that, maybe, again, made you feel less than in the moment because you didn't understand it. You were young.
I didn't. So like most of what my father did in his life, his suicide attempt was not successful. So that led to a long path of hospitals and a liver transplant that had to happen. And literally overnight, I found myself on my own. Like I'm 16 and I got to get myself to school. There were times when I would go to school. This is how dysfunctional it got to be there for a while. There were times when I would go to school because I knew I could eat lunch. Yeah.
There's food. It's
didn't
a
eat
spot
breakfast,
for food.
right?
Yeah.
Didn't eat breakfast, but I was able to get myself to school. And the interesting thing, I never told anyone.
Really?
There would have been people who would have wanted to help me. There was a high school counselor named Kaylin Gray that could kind of sense something was going on. They knew what happened to my dad because when he had to be life flighted to KU Medical Center, which was 4 hours away, the hospital called the school. And so they're like, uh-oh, something's going on, right? But they were real careful not to overstep they were real careful not to push too much with the shy teenager because they knew she'd run away, right? So they were just very careful with that. And so there's a couple of people that tried to, it's like the stray kitten, right? That you're trying to feed and trying to love and trying to say, come inside where it's warm. But the scared little kitten, I was ashamed of what happened because I didn't do it, but I was, again, self-reflection, ashamed. I'm not worth living for. So as terrible as that was, and as sad as this story is, and I couldn't put words on it in the moment, it really showed me no one is coming to save you. If it's going to be, you're going to have to make it happen.
It's powerful.
You're going to have to make it happen.
You weren't going to school for the brain food. You were going for the food.
I was going to eat because of our financial situation. I was on free lunches and I could pick up that little punch card every Monday and knew that I was going to get a free lunch every day if I could just get myself to school. So at one point
you just realized if anything good's going to come out of my life or if I'm going to do anything with my life, I've got to figure it out.
Yep.
Everything else around me is dysfunctional or they're not reliable, right?
Right.
And I think that is powerful. It's a negative scenario that also made you who you are today in terms of just being an individual that's not going to lean on somebody else for assistance or help. If you want something, you're going to go make it happen. You're going to figure out the way. Just like you figured out a way to run an insurance company with zero insurance experience and this. But again, There's experiences that we all have that we can pull positive from in a negative situation. And I just don't think enough people just let it be a negative situation, and they don't even try to go back and analyze maybe what happened in that situation that was positive that came out of it. And I think if people do that, there's probably enough data of negative situations where if you're looking for positive, you can find it. Like I've talked about before on the podcast, growing up poor, if my tire popped, I had to go mow a lawn.
Yep, figure it out.
I knew that I couldn't go to somebody, family, and say, hey, I need $5 or $10 because we already struggled, right? So I already knew there was no money. That's an empowering thing to be in a situation where there's no money and you're forced to actually go get what you want. And it was the same situation. You had to figure out, look, nobody's coming to save me. If I want to win, I've got to become a winner, right? You've got to figure it out.
I liked in your book too when I was reading it today because I'm like, I want to learn a little more about Jess for this episode. But you talked a little bit about your first marriage. I didn't know you were married so young, and kind of similar topic. I thought it was really cool how you wrote in there about when you knew from the get go that you didn't. It did something didn't feel right. You didn't listen to that intuition, and then you kind of like struggled with like what everyone was going to think about you. I don't want to be labeled as the divorced lady. You know what I mean? I don't want that label. And so, I think I thought it was cool the way you wrote it. You kind of had to overcome that as well. You're like, man, I don't care what other people think of me. I can't buy into this label of me, and I need to do what's best for me. And I should have listened to my intuition from the get go, and just really become highly aware of that. So
the whole thing with my dad, like most incredible life lessons, it got way worse before it even started to get better. So I was born with a congenital blood disorder, which nobody knew about, right? And so what happened is shortly after that, as you can imagine, for any person whatsoever, it was incredibly stressful for me. It took its toll mentally, physically, just so much worry. And so the doctors told me it was like juvenile diabetes, that this immense, like shingles, right? This immense stress in my body brought out this blood clotting disorder that we didn't know I had. And so now, for no reason at all, I'm getting blood clots in my leg. And I'm 16, 17 years old, going to this small town hospital with my ankle swollen up, this wider than the widest part of my foot, like when your toes are out in the widest part, and it's hot and it's red, and nobody can figure it out. Had to go to the emergency room 3 times before somebody went, oh shit, this girl's got a blood clot in her leg. That was the furthest thing from their mind.
You were too young, probably.
That's exactly right. I was an anomaly. Yeah, they would come into my 17 years old. It took years to get this under control. And 17, 18 years old, they would come into my hospital room because every time I presented with a blood clot, at that time I had to go. And basically, I packed a bag and I had to go and stay in the hospital for 7 days because this medicine that they would put, heparin that they would put in the IV, that's exactly right. It takes time. So I would have new nurses come on duty and they go, juvenile female presenting with no trauma with blood clots. They would come in and talk to me. They'd be like, well, I just saw your file and I had to come in and talk to you. I'm like, hey, come on, right? So I found myself in the hospital. So, my dad, he's not gone, but out of my life at that point. My mom, not real close with my mom. When I called her and told her what happened to my dad, the only thing she said to me was, well, if he dies, you have to come and live with me, right? And so that just not, again, I told you guys, joyless parents here. It's all, here it is on full display. So I was not going there. So I found myself a situation in the hospital in Wichita, Kansas, and I actually had to have surgery. The blood clots were so bad, they couldn't get them out. They had to literally cut open and remove them.
So the medicine wasn't breaking them down the way that it should.
Exactly. And they put catheters in, and I remember they took the catheter out, and I screamed, and they're like, it takes your breath away. And they're like, people are trying to sleep. And I'm like, I'm trying to sleep, right? But anyway, so the nurses were all like kind of trying to look after, but whatever. I don't know, right? I'm just a kid. And so I remember I had to stay in this hospital for 2 weeks and nobody came to see me. It was towards the end. My mom drove to Wichita, sat in my hospital room. I kid you not, sat in my hospital room for 1 hour. And she said to me, I just wanted to look at you and make sure you're okay. And then she left. So I was in this hospital room all by myself, but there's a lot of that stuff that I don't remember. My parents weren't there. My grandparents weren't there. Nobody was there helping me. My brother, he's a 2 years older, but he's trying to survive too, right? And so literally on my own, I don't know how I survived. I don't know how I didn't become a statistic in one way or another. I just don't know. But I remember there was this phlebotomist that would come in. He was a younger guy and he worked the night shift. And he would come in and just chit chat with me, right? We were about the same age. He was putting himself through college. And I knew what needle to ask for because I had blood drawn so many times. I knew that the thinnest needles were called butterfly needles. And I still have scars all over from being a pincushion. And he said to me one day, have you ever had a cappuccino? And listen, I don't got gas money. I don't know what a cappuccino is, right?
Yeah.
And he said,
sounds expensive.
Oh, okay, well, I get off at, 8 in the morning, I guess was when his shift ended. I'm going to get you a cappuccino from Quick Trip, like the QT. And I'm like, really? Okay. Like, these are probably $2, right? So he brings me this, you watch it come out of the machine as powder mixed with water.
Yeah.
He brought me this cappuccino in the styrofoam Quick Trip cup in Wichita, Kansas. And that's what I choose to remember. Yeah. That's what I choose to remember. And all of that, I'm like, oh, yeah, I had to have my leg cut open and I had to this and that and I did blah, blah, blah. And they had to give me a morphine drip, blah, blah, blah. And I had to have this, it was, I can't think of what it's called now, Demerol put in my IV every night so I could go to sleep. And I remember the burn of that every night. And I remember the cappuccino. The first time I had cappuccino, I was in the hospital.
That's a good little lesson for people.
The memories are what you choose.
But
they're what you choose.
This individual didn't understand your entire backstory.
No. He was
this
just
individual was just like, you know what, I'm going to get you a cappuccino.
Yeah,
and
nice
here
guy.
we are, however many years later, two to 3 decades later, talking about a moment of somebody showing a little bit of kindness and grace and love. And it was a fucking cappuccino from a gas
cup
station.
of coffee. That's right.
Don't discount a $2 cup of coffee, people.
But
or just a kind gesture to anybody, right? Because that could be a moment that just makes that individual feel special, even just for that moment.
It really is,
and it's impactful.
It really is so powerful too. Just like that you made the choice to make that your blessing and instead of your victimness, right?
That's
she has all the excuses just to say, fuck, I've been through this, and this.
Yeah.
You can go fucking be your own piece of shit somewhere, and if somebody says, why you are the way you are, you have a whole laundry list of reasons to say, well, I'm like this because of this, and then people would be like, oh, damn, okay.
Oh, all right.
I see.
But when you asked that question, and I decided in that moment that I was going to share with you the 2 worst things that ever happened to me. And when I say happened to me, it's a perfect example of I didn't do that. That wasn't bad decisions that I made. Yeah. But I don't try to say I'm a victim or anything, but I decided to share those stories with you. But instead of staying in that dark place, I wanted to tell the cappuccino story. Yeah. I wanted to share that happy memory because as bad as everything is, I choose not to remember that. That's what I'm looking back on. Right. I'm looking back on the cappuccino, right? I'm all happy now thinking about that damn cappuccino.
Fuck, we gotta go get her a cappuccino after this.
That's right.
It means a lot.
It really
obviously.
does. $2.
The cappuccino was a nice gift, and the entire shitstorm that happened to you is turned out to be a great gift for you as well. And your story was a gift to us and our audience.
Yeah, no, for real.
So
for real.
It was great.
For real.
We've
known each other for years now, right? But we don't know all of each other, in terms of some of the worst things that have happened to us. You're right. Some of the struggles that we've gone through.
Because we don't concentrate on that. We really don't.
When we come together, we're all smiling, giving hugs, and we're trying to focus on the positive in the world, and we're trying to grow our businesses and use our energy in a fashion or in a way that serves our future. Mm-hmm. And with that, I want you to explain your first tattoo that you've ever got.
I was going to ask that too.
Oh.
Yeah, I was going to ask
I've already talked to her about this at the last fly-in. She has one. That's your first one, right? I think
it's the only one. It's all I got.
Yeah. So it's her only tattoo. But I remember seeing it. I think it was the last Fly-In Friday down in Apex in Dallas. I said, "What does Remember Tomorrow mean?" Because she has it tattooed just right there on her forearm on the inside there.
Yeah.
And I loved your answer, so that's why I want to highlight that real quick.
So I got this when I was 41. It took me that long to decide what I wanted to permanently put on. You don't? No. Well, let's go. I know you got an appointment here in a little bit. Then let's go. No, and
I told my wife the other day. I said because she said let's get a tattoo together. Yeah. I said my biggest fucking fear. I get one.
Yeah.
Your boy's head to toe.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know.
Like when I start dabbling and dipping, whatever. Next thing you know, I'm burning through a can a day.
Yeah.
Right? If I drink alcohol, I end up blacking out 3 to 4 times a week. I try painkillers, become a full-out addict. Start this business shit. We have multiple businesses. The fitness thing, I end up getting in good. So whatever I put my attention, like.
We have addictive personalities.
Very much
they
so.
They serve us well, but we have to be very careful with them.
I'd be head to toe. I'd have the teardrops, dude.
That's okay. I'd
fucking do it,
we get you some neck tattoos.
I'll do it. I don't give a shit.
So my tattoo just says Remember Tomorrow, and it's done in a typewriter font. And I double-checked the spelling 3 times before he inked it.
Tomorrow.
That's right, before he inked it. Still would have made a great story, right? But so there's a gentleman named Jesse Itzler that is married to Sarah Blakely, who owns Spanx. And he has a Build Your Life resume program. And I discovered that program years ago when I decided to be more interesting. And one thing that he said that floored me as a mom, that just absolutely floored me. So this came from him, and I'll explain the meaning in just a minute. But he said, so I heard this when my son was probably 8, right? And so he said, you don't have 10 more years before your kid goes off to college. If you're doing it right, get your ass out. Get your ass out of my. You have 10 more You have 10 more birthdays.
10 more summers.
You have 10 more spring breaks. That's right. 10 more Christmases.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with that? I was like, oh shit, what am I gonna do with that? Now, in that same breath, my husband and I are already talking about the next chapters of our life when the kids are gone. Right? We already have plans for that, but it means something to me. Just like last year when everything shut down, we did not shut down. We explored our city like nobody's business because Kansas City has incredible things, and I made it a point. We're going to do some fun stuff. That's right. And we went in zip lines. We went and saw different bridges differently. We did a lot of exploring locally because we couldn't go off. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, we the Stroud family decided not to participate in the worst year ever.
Yeah.
We weren't hashtagging worst year ever. We weren't doing it, right? So what the Remember Tomorrow means to me is, listen, I can be a little snippy like everybody else, right? I get a little bit of a temper.
I've seen it once, people. I was talking.
I turned green.
I was in the back of the room at our mastermind, and I was doing my fun thing, I got a big old dip in my lip and talking to the homies or whatever, and I was just chit-chatting, and then all of a sudden, that's what I hear. And I look off to the side. Shh. If you gotta talk, go out in the halls. And I'm like,
I was listening to the speaker.
Damn, you're usually high vibrating frequency, good ass energy, and you come over on me with that darkness.
Oh, but here, let me throw some glitter on you.
Yeah.
So what it means is, if it's a good and a bad thing. What I do today, what I do right now, how am I going to feel about that tomorrow? Right. So if I snap at somebody at the grocery store, or I'm checking into a hotel and my room's not ready, or something's not perfect, or everything's not lining out the way I want it to, and I snap at somebody or give them attitude, I'm going to beat myself up about that tomorrow. I know I am, right? If my kid comes to me and says, hey, Mom, will you come and do this with me? And I'm like, yeah, I'm working on this new program, whatever. Let me get back, let me get to you later. How am I going to feel about that tomorrow? If there is a video that I need to make and put out because I feel a calling on my heart and I don't do it, how am I going to feel about that tomorrow? If I skip date night with my husband, the one human that ranks highest in all of humans in my whole world, I skip date night with him, how am I going to feel about that tomorrow? If there's somebody I need to connect with and send a message to because I know that we can do a business co-branding something or other together, and I don't reach out to them, how am I going to feel about that tomorrow? So it reminds me the decisions you make today, no matter what. If I make bad food choices, if I skip a workout, or if I get my ass up and it's 90 degrees outside at 8 in the morning and you still go outside and walk up and down a 3.
Tomorrow you're going to be proud of yourself.
How am I going to feel about that tomorrow? That's exactly right. So it just reminds me that making the decisions now, it's a butterfly effect. And how you going to feel about that? Yeah. How you going to feel about that?
Pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I like it.
And it lives up to what you talked about a little bit earlier too, man, about ma'am.
It's okay. That's all right. I love you.
But, you talk about, hey, I gained a lot of confidence by just, like I had all these failures, but then you had all these wins too. And it's like, but you keep gaining confidence in your life because you never stop. We have failures, we learn, we go. But when we complete things and we see things through, we gain confidence. Yeah. And you do that really well.
I think oddly we gain confidence when we fail too, because it doesn't suck as bad as we think it's going to do. I don't think people are scared of failure. I think we're scared of being seen to fail. Yeah. If I want to go out and try to do a cartwheel in the front yard.
Because if everyone's successful, they want everybody to know.
Right.
But nobody wants people to know about their losses, right?
So I have this favorite yoga pose that I do. And if I do it and I fall on my ass because it's not easy and people are watching, I'll be embarrassed. If I do it, nobody's watching. That's no big deal. But we're not worried about failing. We're worried about being seen failing. Right. And us, we don't care. We think it's awesome. It's a good story.
Yeah, we did it an entire podcast episode. I think like 13 or 14. It's like failures. And we only talked about like half of them.
Let's do it. Let's fail. Let's get to failing
I think
today.
we talked about maybe half of them, and we were already an hour in. And we're like, that's enough.
This could be 12 episodes.
Like, let's say we go to New York City, and this grilled cheese sandwich, this $250 grilled cheese sandwich is the worst thing I've ever eaten. It's going to be a good story. Yeah. It's going to be a great story. It's going to be a better story.
That's true.
Like the worst thing I ever ate cost me $250. Yeah.
That is super inspiring that you go and do that stuff with your family for your content. And it's just bonded you guys and brought you all closer together and made you better. Cool. I mean, me and my wife have been talking about that lately. We're just like, man, when do we start shifting the focus a little bit? We're just like busy doing this, like serving kids basketball, baseball, work, her business, my business, and going to masterminds, all this stuff. And I'm like, we got to start mixing it up a little bit. And it's possible. And you're, you inspired me today to start doing more of that. I'm like, as you were talking about, I'm instantly like, man, those are some good ideas.
It doesn't have to be anything big.
No, just
it
do
doesn't.
It, right?
Like there's parks and there's restaurants and there's all of that, but you just I'm the culture officer in my house. I control, as you guys clearly.
You set the temperature.
I set the temperature.
So whether it's a negative setting or whether it's a positive setting, that's based upon how you're feeling.
Yeah.
My husband said to me once, it's been years ago, he drops these little bombs on me. I don't even remember what it was. It was probably about a career it wasn't about our marriage or anything, but he said to me, you're the happy one in this marriage. If you're not happy, we will make changes until you're happy.
You wrote about that. I saw that.
Wow,
did I write about that? Oh, good for me.
You wrote about the thermostat. Oh, yeah. You talked a little bit about
that's right.
What's the saying? If
Mama ain't happy.
Mama ain't happy, nobody happy. Yeah, so we know.
I know. I hear you.
I think I'm kind of the thermostat in my house, too, to be honest.
We set the tone. Go out and create a culture of adventure. Yeah.
So if somebody wants to connect with you, what's the best place for them to go? Is it a website? Is it your Facebook? Is it Instagram? I know they can visit all of those places and check you out, and everybody should. They should buy the book. They should check out the website.
You can go to fans only. No.
Fans only.
Dang it, I messed
Go to
it up.
fansonly.org. It's onlyfans.com, okay? We talked about that in the last podcast.
Dang it, I messed it up.
That's how you know she's a class act. She don't even know the name.
Yeah, she can't even
See,
come on. It's only
I
two
messed
words.
Up the
and
joke, right? And it's still funny.
It is still funny. It's actually
I
funny
failed.
to hear.
I just failed right here trying to be funny, and it was still funny.
What's the best place if somebody wants to make a quick connection with you and say thank you for the information that you gave on the podcast, or if they want to connect with you about your referral program or purchase your book, just anything and everything, and how do they get access to this wonderful boss lady CEO pink badass Jessica Stroud?
I love the socials. So, of course, Jessica Stroud, Lady CEO on Instagram.
And we'll put that in the bio of the podcast.
You'll know it's me because I'm wearing pink in the picture. Yeah. And then on Facebook, I love Facebook stuff. Why? I am Jessica Stroud on Facebook. And again, you'll look at the picture and know it's me. I got a pink sweater on.
Stroud, right?
Correct. Jessica Stroud, just like it sounds. And if you have something you want to share with me, don't be weird about sending me a friend request. Send me a friend request and then send me a DM. That's how we all connect. Yeah. It's only weird if you make it weird. Yeah. Right? So we were doing something the other day and John's like, "You're making it weird." And I laughed and I said, "Honey, I was awkward when you married me," or whatever. I don't even remember what we were doing. But so I love meeting new people and I love hearing your stories because as much as I have the privilege of inspiring other people, you guys inspire me. So reach out to me, connect with me, send me messages. If you're weird, I'll block you, so don't worry about that.
Yeah. What's the best way to find your book?
If you say, "Hey, what's your fans?
Amazon, yeah.
What's your fans only account?" Now, if you go to fansonly.com, it's probably legit just fans.
That's
for
right.
ceiling
Circular,
fans.
whatever,
Yeah,
paint, drying paint and all that. Or
exactly.
yes, my book on Amazon, it's called The Lady CEO, or just look up Jessica Stroud, and it is the paper copy is $5.99. The Kindle copy is $2.99, and we keep it budget friendly for everyone.
I actually struggled finding it, but it was during your book launch, and I was searching your name, and I was searching the lady, or maybe I just was doing Lady CEO, not the Lady CEO.
Okay.
But I can't remember. But I finally did find it. I just can't remember how, but it's probably more visible now because it's number one seller. Number one, not best seller.
Number one best seller. Let's get that right.
It is good. There's some good stuff.
Facts matter.
Your boy can't catch a break over here. Mm-hmm. But if you do buy her book, make sure after you get done reading it, you leave her a review.
Ooh,
all of these things definitely help. Guys, she literally flew here just to be on the podcast and be on the show to give you guys good information. And it was an episode that I didn't expect. There's your backstory is amazing just because of who you are today, right? And so it's just
we knew you were awesome. Yeah, we didn't know we were going to bring some of the best stuff ever.
I wouldn't have guessed that was your background and some of the struggles and some of the heartaches and things that you've had to go through produced who you are today. Yeah. Right. And so that's just a nod to you in terms of,
thanks.
Your ability to overcome, your perseverance, your discipline, your ability to try to see the positive and negative scenarios. So you're a shining light to us. You're amazing.
Thanks, guys.
You always bring the energy. You always bring the pink. As we expect every time, right?
You gotta be consistent.
If you ever join the Apex,
be consistent.
Yeah, if you ever join the Apex Executives group, you'll see Jess there in her pink, and she might even post in the group, "What shoes should I wear? Which pink shoes should I wear today? With which pink jacket?" So she.
I do need fashion help every once in a while. I have to hit up the husband, like, "What should I wear?" And he's like, "Just because it's pink, it doesn't match, right?" It all matches.
It's pink.
Pink on pink. All matches.
50 Shades of Pink. Maybe that's your next book.
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Let me write that
50
down.
Shades of Pink. There you go. So that might be
you want
bad,
royalties on that?
Yeah, exactly. 25%.
Yep.
It's on wax.
Yes.
So, guys, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know me and Kel did. It was definitely a pleasant surprise to have Jess come in and be willing to fly her ass out to St. George, Utah to come visit with us. But Guys, reach out to her, connect with her. She's an amazing being, and I know that she can lift you up just as much as she does to anybody else that comes in contact with her. So make sure that you take the time, rate, review the podcast, all that fun stuff. Other than that, have a kick-ass day.
Bye.
Take care.